To all my gamers and NFT players, Viral Hip Hop News and the Lightest Fair Network have teamed up to bring you something revolutionary in the gaming and NFT space. Go to play.finesse.fun right now to play the season preview of the game Finesse Shadow Warriors exclusively on play.finesse.fun. Don't be the last to be a part of this new technological advancement in gaming and NFT. Play.finesse.fun to play the season preview of the game Finesse Shadow Warriors. Link is in the description box. Let them know Viral Hip Hop News sent you.
Right, things
Let's
we
go.
supposed to do. Oh, I'm not the guy who does this, a guy who does that. Man, there's a whole universe of possibilities out there for you. And I encourage everybody, just like in the Ant-Man movie with Jonathan Majors, explore the multiverse. Like, look at all the different versions of yourself that could have existed and just explore that. And you'll be surprised by what you find, man. It keeps you alive and it keeps you feeling good. And it really does keep you young, actually, mentally.
Nice. Now, to kind of speak on Jonathan Majors, let's go into that. Incredible actor, on top of the world right now. You got Creed 3 coming out this Friday with what's my brother's name? Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah.
Got the movie Devotion out, The Harder They Fall, Lovecraft Country, Ant-Man and the Wasp just recently came out. Brother's on top of his game. But we can't help but to see, particularly in our community, how they're beginning to promote and lay out this brother. You know what I mean? You see the very controversial Ebony shoot. A lot of people had things to say about that, on both sides. Then we see the recent shoot of The Brotherly Love with him very close and intimate with his brother, Michael B. Jordan. I love his brother right here. I don't think I'd ever take a picture with him like that, but that's neither here nor there. As much as I love him, I'm not doing that shit. That's neither here nor there. But what's your thoughts on the conversation in our community currently going on with Jonathan Majors?
I found that there's a couple of strands of the conversation. There's one strand that just says, well, it's not a big deal. It's just entertainment. Why are you being judgmental, etc. Now, I hear that point of view. I hear that perspective. But what I encourage people to understand is that there is no such thing as just entertainment. It's been well established for over 100 years that Hollywood has always had an agenda. It's an agenda that is not the traditional Black family agenda. It leans heavily left in terms of whether it's feminism or LGBT sorts of issues, stuff like that. That's not new to us. What I think you have to understand too is that when you're Black, the agenda becomes especially harsh for two reasons. Number one, Black people, because we have not really had the movement in terms of focusing on wealth the way that we should, we don't own anything. So when we go to Hollywood, you don't really have a lot of stake or equity in Hollywood. They own you. You it's like either do it or you out, their way or the highway. So a lot of these actors that you look up to and admire, they're just slaves. They're just high-paid slaves. They have to do what they're told or they're in trouble. So that's the first area where we're vulnerable. The second area where the Blackness is a special target of the agenda is because the world does not want to see the Black man as a man. The world has never, the Black man showing up as a man who is intelligent, who is fearless, who has firm, clear values in terms of who he is, who's defining his own narrative. That is one of the scariest things in the world. The scary thing for white folks is not a gun-toting thug or whatever, or a rapper or whatever. That's kind of buffoonery. It's really the intelligent Black man who says, I love my family, I'm holding it down for mine, and I can take it or leave it on whatever you're putting in front of me. I don't need you, right? So Black men tend to do best in Hollywood if they either show up in a way that is either as a little boy, very immature, very childlike, or as a little girl, very feminine, or as a clown, like a comedian. You see a lot of comedians doing extremely well, just killing it. Even some of the rappers, unfortunately, are clowns because they engage in clownish, exaggerated behavior. One or two gold chains is cool. You don't need 50. One or two tattoos is cool. You don't need like 75. It's or just multicolored teeth and all this other craziness, right? So all that's like a clown suit, right? So when the Black man shows up as a little boy, little girl, or a clown, he's more likely to be successful. And I hate the idea that they've taken Jonathan Majors and presented him in that very feminine way. So people who think that we're overreacting, you just need to look around you and just realize that this is deeply connected to all the other outcomes that you're seeing in society in terms of where Black men end up. we're not in the power chair. We tend to end up in the chair where we're serving other people. So it wasn't really an attack on Jonathan Majors to sort of call out that Ebony shoot or an attack on Ebony. I even know the brother who bought Ebony, and I wish I could talk to him directly. He did reach out, Bridgman, I think Junior Bridgman, I think is his name. He reached out. I just hadn't had a chance to talk to him. So I don't want him to take offense to what we said, but you got to really think about how your men are presented. Like, for example, in China, they have a law that says you can't present their men in a feminine way. You're not allowed to do that, because they understand how that image of the men affects how little boys see themselves. You already have a community where most little black boys don't even have a father in the house every day. And that dysfunction has become so normalized that we think that that's okay. It's not okay. Just like it's not okay for a child to grow up without a mother. Why would you think it's okay for them to not have a father? So it's so unfortunate for Majors. I hope that he'll think about it a little more carefully instead of just blowing off the controversy, because this is very real and the agenda is real. So people are not overreacting when they're seeing the same thing that a lot of us are seeing.
Yeah, but definitely agree with you. Let's talk about Malcolm X, his estate, his daughter suing the federal government, the FBI, the CIA, and the New York Police Department for, pretty much covering up, holding back different, evidence that will prove that they, it was a conspiracy to kill Malcolm X. It's one thing, like I said yesterday, is us talking about it and speculating, but now there's actual real proof out there, and they're going after the money. I think it's crazy to me, but what's your thoughts on it?
I think it's great. I think it's the best lawsuit Ben Crump has filed. I really think that I hope that they win, or at the very least, I hope that information comes out that reveals what really happened during the death of Malcolm X. We know most of us have seen a lot of evidence to show that the government played a substantial role in the deaths of both Malcolm and Martin. They did not sit back and just, they weren't just sort of innocent bystanders as all this was occurring. They have strategically and systematically engaged in efforts to kill off black leadership, undermine the black community. We know they brought crack cocaine into black communities. You were really moving forward as a community in the 1960s. They derailed a lot of that in the 70s and 80s, and we're still feeling the effects. Mass incarceration was one of the effects. A lot of broken homes is one of the effects. Violent neighborhoods that we have right now are one of the effects. Like, watching the movie Snowfall really shows you what the black community was supposed to be versus what it became due to this outside interference. So this is definitely bigger than just the murder of Malcolm X. One of the things you got to understand about conspiracies is this. Mm-hmm. Typically, for every one time you find out about something that they did, there's about 100 times that they did something that you never found out about it, that you'll never find out. So I'm not even just looking at the conspiracy that's in front of me. I'm thinking about all the conspiracies that we miss. Like in your kitchen, if you see one roach, there's usually not one roach. There's usually 100 of them, nested out somewhere. So really, I want everybody to use their imagination. Just understand that if this is the one thing that we found out that we've known about for many, many years, how many other things have they done to you, and are they doing to you right now that you have no idea about? So you just got to be aware. So I hope they win the lawsuit. I think it's some degree of justice. It's not completely fair. Malcolm paid a huge price for our country. I think also it's our opportunity to take control of how Black history is presented. That whole conversation about teaching Black history in public schools, I think that's an important conversation. But really, I want us teaching our own history, because remember, when they're teaching our history, they're not really going to talk a whole lot about the Malcolm X's. They're not going to talk at all about the Marcus Garveys or the A.G. Gastons. It's up to us to teach our own history in our own way. That's what strong communities do.
That's a perfect.